who will be joining us. Dr. Marie Timmons has been studying about the polar ice caps, and here she is!
Hi everybody! I'm very excited to be on your show, Lydia.
Yeah! I want your autograph! Recently, I've heard that you were studying about the polar ice caps.
Well, yes, I have been doing that.
Well, let's start with a very simple question. What are they?
Well, polar ice caps are high-altitude regions of the planet that are covered in ice. You know, like the ice caps in Greenland.
And lately, we have been hearing problems about them. And what is one of them?
Well, the problem about these polar ice caps are that they're melting. They're basically starting to melt.
Why is that so?
It's so because of global warming, and with the rising temperatures, global warming, it's gonna be a bigger problem sooner.
Yes, global warming is a very big issue.
Yes.
So, what other places will be affected because of it?
Well, let's just say that lots of coastal regions will be affected. Well, lowland areas could easily be flooded over, even if the oceans rose only a few meters. It would still have a major effect. But if all the ice caps in Antarctica melted, basically the ocean could rise about 60 meters, which is about 200 feet. Except that would take a long, long time. But the ice caps in Greenland have a seemingly closer effect. Because if all those melt, the oceans, well, that large amount of fresh water which would be exposed into the ocean would actually stop the North Atlantic drift. And that way it would also affect higher latitude areas where the North Atlantic drift would have heated them. Now places like Tromsø would begin to freeze over a lot instead of being the warmer area that it used to be.
So, are there any animal life that would be affected, or any endangered species?
Well, there are the polar bears. They're having a lot of trouble coping with this ice because when the ice hits the ocean, basically, the polar bears, when they go swimming, they're gonna need like thick ice sheets which they can stand on. So now the ice is also melting faster, so then the ice will be thinner, so polar bears can't rest on it. And sooner or later, if they don't find anywhere to get up from, they'll eventually drown. Then there's also lots of other cold-dwelling animals like penguins.
But then, wouldn't penguins be in the water for a long time?
They'll still need some land as rest, because they can't basically breathe in water. They have nowhere to like sleep or anything. And also microscopic creatures would be affected, since if they need a lot of cold, then they would easily be dying. What we could be seeing here is an extinction eventually.
All these issues and all these problems. And do you have any predictions about it?
Well, yes. Us scientists estimate that by the year 2100, the sea level will rise about 50 centimeters in height. When the lowest, that's 15 centimeters, and the highest is 95 centimeters. But it may not seem as much right now, but it's still a very important difference. Maybe in a long time, but we also estimate that within the next 4 years, we won't be able to stop this global warming crisis, and we won't be able to get out of it. So we'll be stuck in it. There won't be an escape.
Is there anything we can do to stop it?
Well, yes. Basically, if we want to try to help stop the polar ice caps from melting and weakening, we're going to have to try to stop global warming too. Because without the global warming problem, then we're also going to have the temperatures more normal, and we won't have to worry about that. Like, what we can do, we can basically do normal small things, like turning off the lights when we leave the room, or putting like the computer monitor off if we're still going to use it. And then we can also just we can bike somewhere instead of using a car or something. there's lots of things that we can do to help try to slow down global warming and eventually stop it. But to you, it may not seem that big of an issue, since like you could think like, oh, I'm all alone. What's the difference if one single person does this or that? Mm-hmm. Think, if everybody thinks like that, we're not escaping the problem. We need positive people who want to help try stop this problem.
Mm-hmm. The global warming, like we said before, is a big issue.
Yes.
So
big.
everyone has to take part in the whole global warming stops.
Yes. Pitch in, everybody, because there's lots of important life out there which we should be saving.
And thank you so much for coming today, Dr. Timmons.
Yes, it was very nice to be here, Lydia.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
And we're going to take a short break, and in the next one we are going to talk about the oil spill.
Okay. Bye.